Okay, this is the second part of the video that I was showing where you use the lubricant spray and how that gets you out of trouble sometime. Let's just say you're new to trapping, because like I said, there's a lot of new guys that are getting into trapping. You order a trap, logic would tell you that you just take that trap out of the box and go work. That's not reality. I hate to bust your bubble on that. When they build these traps, most of them are not ready to go out of the box. It's you, the trapper, that has to be able to tune them. So you're going to have to understand how the trap works in order for that to happen. You can see the pan is sitting way too high on this trap. I made it do this. I'm going to make it go back here in a second, and I'm going to show you how. If you take a box, this is a coil spring, I think a Duke 1.5, right out of the box, you've got the pan sitting too high, you can look at it and go, that doesn't work, because it's not going to fire when it needs to fire, which is down here level with the jaws. So I'm going to show you how we can fix that. Okay. What it is, this part of the frame right here is bent too far back. So it's a simple thing to get a pair of pliers, pull that up a little bit, make sure it'll still fit. I've got a little bit too much. It's just a playing thing. Now see, when I set this trap now, it's going to set level. All I did was bend this up a little bit, which moves this forward, which allows this to drop. It's pretty simple. Now let's say the opposite is true, and you set the trap when you get it out of the box, and this goes all the way to base plate, and this is what we're calling base plate, the very bottom of the trap right here. This goes all the way to base plate, and the jaw's still set. Nothing wrong with the trap. You just got your leverage out of whack again. So instead of pushing this forward, which is going to make this go forward, it's pushed too forward already, take your pliers and pull this on a backward angle. And what it'll do, it'll pull your dog back, and it'll make your trap come back, so when it fires, it'll fire level. So the best way to do this is when you get a trap out of the box, set it. If the pan's high, you move this forward. If it's not level, you can move it back or forward, or if you push the pan all the way down and it still doesn't fire, you've got to pull this back. All this is doing is just changing the distance between where the back of your trap is and where the dog meets the back of the pan right here. It's pretty simple, but it's going to be up to you to always tune your traps. Now this is a KB 5.5. This is a very expensive trap right out of the box. This isn't a really big deal on this, but a lot of times you'll get like Montana dogless traps, and the levers will be cocked to one side, and so when you go to set the trap, you're sitting with one jaw that's level and one jaw that's cocked up. So if you get a trap and you open this trap up and one lever sets way high than the other, than flat, what's causing that is one of these levers is turned, just like this one is a little bit. A cow or something chewed on that. I can see that it's turned where this side is closer, that side is out. No big deal. Take your pliers. Now see, since this one's turned, you take your pliers, and I'm going to twist this way, and I'm going to force that lever to go level the way it is right now, and then jaws will sit exactly level that way. It's just the way that stuff comes out of the factory. Okay, now this is the new Freedom brand dog-proof trap. This is a very different concept than the dog-proof traps of the past. This is a precision style trap. It gives you the option to adjust this. Now, say you order 10 dozen of these and you got one that doesn't fire because the guy on the UPS truck threw it off 20 foot up in the air, and it just happened to hit just right and knock that out. That's no big deal. That's actually an advantage to you, which I'm going to show you in a minute. When you have a standard style dog-proof trap, the kind that they all have the dog go down the back, just like the Grizz and the Dukes and the Daggers and the Z-traps and all that, there's nothing wrong with those traps. They're just a different style of design. But what it doesn't allow the trapper to do is make the trap do what he wants it to do. It almost holds you hostage to the design of that trap maker, which I've never liked. But let's say you get this trap and you get one, for some reason it doesn't do this. Well, what can cause this? See, this is just like a dogless part of a Montana number 3 or anything like that. It's a dogless style design. What this does, it keeps pressure off of your trigger so the coon doesn't have to pull as hard, which is part of the reason it catches so much better. But if you look at this, which I'm trying to get in the camera, you see that little bit of light between the dog right here and this metal plate right here? That little bit of light is the way they're going to come from the factory. That's a pretty good trigger pull. But let's say you want to only have, I don't know if it'd make any difference, but let's just say you wanted to have really big coon that are strong. You could actually bend that down a little bit and then set the trap and see what it does to your trigger, because what you're going to find, it's going to put more pressure on the trigger to release your springs, which come in back here. On the other hand, the way I like them is I can, if it's not firing fast enough and on an easy enough trigger, I can kind of bump this up right here, get a little bit more daylight between this right here, and it's going to allow me to have even more of a hair trigger, which on these traps does a really good deal. Okay, now that's a really cool thing on a dog-proof trap. No one's ever had one that you could really adjust anything. You might be able to file on a dog or do something like that, but they're really sloppy in nature. This one allows you to adjust your trigger throw, your trigger tension, everything. So if you want a stouter trigger, kind of push this down a little bit. If you want a looser trigger, push this up a little bit and it'll fire even quicker, which is what I recommend. But right out of the box, most of them that I'm getting are pretty much right on the money, actually. So let's say one of these times you get something and it doesn't click. What's happening? Well, for that not to click, either A, that's not lubricated and not letting it to move right there, or this little dog that goes over here is bent up for some reason. Say you got it stuck in a bunch of T-bars and you ripped one of them out and it kind of moved it up just a little bit. All you got to do is just take a hammer, tap it back down. What you'll find is that trap will set just like that again. But when you do that, always kind of get where you have a little bit of light right there, because if you push it down too far, it's probably not going to fire. And if you get it too far up, it's not going to stay set. So you got to be in that happy medium, but there's still enough room there to let you adjust this trap however it is you want. And that's really cool, or at least it is to me. So there you go. Whether it's a precision dog-proof trap like the Freedom brand, or a Duke that you get out of the box that's got a pan that needs to be adjusted, or you get a very expensive trap like a KB 5.5 or an MB 650 with wire levers, or it's a Montana number 3 and you got your levers that are twisted, not letting your jaws lay flat, all it takes is a screwdriver most of the time, or a pair of pliers. A vise is handy sometimes, but you don't always need it. Don't be afraid to play with these traps. It's going to be up to you, the trapper, to be able to tune these traps, because most of them are not going to come out of the box, like I said before, ready to go. You need to set them at home, see how they're functioning, adjust it if it needs functioning, and then you can go out and have a good time and catch you a bunch of fur with them, because a well-tuned trap will always outcatch one that's not tuned very well at all.